very well.
People keep asking me what kind of meditation this is. Transcendental meditation. I have no idea what to tell them.
Well,
Is it like a mix?
yeah, we teach meditation since 1976. So we've been 43 years now, something like that. So it's a long time. We don't teach meditation under a certain denomination, like Buddhist meditation or, I don't know, Vipassana meditation or
They're right about yoga and
mindfulness
chakra meditation.
or yoga chakra meditation. So we are non-denominational. We teach a scientific method. We base ourselves in the teachings of the founder.
Oh, what?
¿Qué tal, Arnaldo?
Thank you so much. It's so light out, it's so beautiful, right?
It feels great.
The sun, I know.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, today we are going to practice a technique that is done with
Dark.
in the dark.
So you had to put this up, right?
With
Yeah.
Oh, I see that. That's
Because
good.
when I came by,
Semi-permanent.
it's usually the lights are on and I can see it, it was dark.
Yeah, I thought you all started without me. The shades were drawn.
No,
and
no,
the door
no, no.
was
It's
closed.
only that we are going to learn a technique that it's done with a candle and in the dark. And so, you know, we have organized them for that purpose.
With blue tapes.
With blue tape, exactly. So, as I was saying, so we are non-denominational, but, and we, you could say that, like in our emblem, no, we consider all authors of contemplative practices as authors, as you would consider, I don't know, biology authors. Doesn't matter if it comes from India or California. And so if you read, I don't know, St. John of the Cross and his explanation of the different stages of
I'm Jewish.
meditation.
I don't know anything about Christianity
Well,
and all your references. I'm sorry.
Or you read about the
I don't know anything
Zohar
about
and Kabbalah, and you know the different mystical traditions of the Jewish, all of them are authors and they speak about the same thing. So, for that respect, you know, we are non-denominational, but we drink of all of them. They all do similar techniques, so, you know, when they tell you, at the end of the day, if you remember when I told you about this, which is very much academic, so it's not like from a religion, it's this classification of the different techniques, which are the concentration techniques that use an object of concentration, and their aim are basically to quieten the mind. And you will find people that uses the breath, you will find people that uses walking meditation, you will see people that use, the object is the object of your perception. So, you know, the different denominations might use different objects, and this is basically part of the culture, part of the use and habits of a particular culture. But the technique, in essence, is the same thing. So we go a little bit to the essence of all of them, and we teach the essence in a way that what we teach, you know, if a Buddhist listens to it, sounds good to him. If a Christian listens to it, sounds good to him. If a Jewish listens to it, sounds good to him. If an atheist listens to it, sounds good to him. So we teach it in a way that doesn't offend the beliefs, but at the same time gives the information and the techniques to implement in your discipline of your life. I think someone's coming. Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
The screen door sticks. I
Oh.
noticed. I thought it was locked originally.
I thought that the story of coming late was only in Spain, but I I'm general. You know, in Spain, we give it as granted.
I don't care. So you're okay.
That's too weird when you're,
What?
when you have two opposite
Right,
sides, right?
No.
In Spain, we give it as granted. So I'm from Spain and I'm used to Spain. And when you say the meeting is at 12, you know that until 12 you're not going to start. But I thought this was more English-like, no?
It needs to be more German-like.
Or German-like,
Right, German-like,
probably.
right.
Yeah, German-like. Swiss.
We're talking about-
Swiss-like.
Right.
Like the exit.
Do you know why watches?
Up somebody else.
Coming in.
You know, I
feel guilty?
I did. I feel so guilty. Either way, I feel guilty.
Anyway, I know.
And I was supposed to do my singing tonight. I told them
Okay, so I think we can start now. So we'll start with a few minutes of meditation. Shanti, Shanti. Open your eyes slowly. Namaste. Remember that Namaste, it is not something that we do only ritually, because in reality we do it ritually but as a reminder of the practice which is that when you get in touch with any other human being, whichever human being, you know, in the street, in your home, in your work, in your environment, at any moment, consciously put the emphasis that he's another human being like you, that he has a heart like you, that he has patterns in his mind like you, that he understands his reality according to these previous impressions like you, that he is as confused as you, and that he deserves your recognition for that. So instead of seeing we can always see an asshole in front of us, but instead of looking at the asshole, you look at the heart, and that is the meaning of the salute, you know, with what I think, so I do think it, with what I say, so if I say something, I take it into consideration, and with what I feel, I make the effort to feel the other person, to feel how he's feeling, because that is just a matter of putting your attention. If you put your attention to feel the other person, you can feel the other person, right or wrong. We all have this experience. You have to put the intention to do it. But we tend to put all the emphasis in what we think of the other person, instead of what we feel of the other person. Feeling is more intuitive, more thinking will then explain your feelings. But it's better to feel about the other, so feel at the other person, than to think about the other person. And we tend to think about the other person more than what it is necessary, and much more than what gives us any information about the other person in any case, because it is just our own imaginations. So, tell me, have you practiced the technique we learned on Thursday? Shall I start with you?
Sure.
Okay, how did it go?
It went okay. I mean, I found time to do it, and
Wonderful.
And I like doing it. Although I found I actually became more impatient with people than I normally am, which I found I felt I could focus better, I could think better, but I was surprised at the impatience. Like particularly driving and stuff. Like usually I was like, okay.
And you became like impatient with people?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't need to be related. But in any case, you had no problems, you did it, it was nice to do it, and everything.
Yeah, the only thing I was wondering about is you say it's okay for other thoughts to come in, which, other thoughts came in, but I found it was easier to do if I focused on something in my body, like if I would focus on my breath, or just some sort of feeling. If I tried to just keep the mantra going.
Well, you just have to let it flow, The mantra meditation is based on one thing, the sound of your voice. When you think, you can listen the sound of your voice inside your mind. And the sound of your voice is immediately associated by the mechanism of the brain to the eye. Now the question is, who is that I that really is? So, if you put your attention on the sound of your voice inside your head, you have an object that will get you very deep into the mind, because the mind has many, many layers. So the mind is not just the conscious mind and the conscious thoughts that we have, which are just a product of previous impressions. You know, any thought you have today is a product of previous impressions of previous days, no? I don't know. You know, it depends on how you have been conditioned, because we have all been conditioned to behave in a certain way. I always put the example of being a supporter of some team, no? Like being a supporter of the Yankees. I'm a supporter, for example, of the Real Madrid. Or who are the other ones? The Patriots, right? The Yankees and the Patriots. So it would be like Real Madrid, Barcelona, okay? So I was born in Madrid, raised in Madrid. My father supported the Real Madrid. I saw the games with my father about Real. So I am conditioned to support Real Madrid, which means that my mind is conditioned in such a way that if I'm watching a game between, say, Real Madrid is Yankees, of Yankees against Patriots, and the Yankees score, I will get happy without being able to avoid it, and the other way around. And I cannot change that. So I cannot tell myself, tomorrow you are going to see another game of Yankees against Patriots, but you are going to be happy when Patriots score. No, I cannot change it. I am conditioned to behave in such a way. It's easy to understand. In the same way you are conditioned to behave in such a way in this instance, you are conditioned to behave in all other ways that you behave in all other instances. So, one of the things we learn to do in meditation is to let go of all those thoughts which are product of previous patternings or previous impressions in your mind that condition you, and letting go of them, if you want, with the intention to find out if there is something really free within you. Because you can always put that into questioning. It's good to question and to inquire. I don't know if, did I tell you about the Pascal box and the balls in the Pascal box? Yes. Okay, so, you know, what is there, because we all experience ourselves as entities that have a choice. I can do this or do that. So there is something free within me, and can choose being happy because the Patriots won, or being happy because the Yankees won. Because we think we can. The question is, do we can? And if there is something that really is free, what is it? Because if it is free, it is not dependent on natural laws. Because natural laws are, you know, if you know the laws, you will know to predict what will happen, like any science can tell you. So, is there something within me that is free because I perceive myself to be free? But if you inquire, to what extent are you free? You are not free to move your heart in one speed or another, for example. So, I mean, what's the extent of your freedom in reality? And what's the extent of your I-ness? So you use the mantra as a symbol of that presence, of that I-ness, of the self, if you want, of the being, of the inner self, or, as they called it during centuries, of God, which is the same thing. And if you're in your meditation, you start feeling your body, you can still listen the sound of your voice repeating your mantra, because while you listen the sound of your voice repeating your mantra, you will also be conscious of your thoughts that are arising, but you will be just letting them go. You will be conscious of your sensations in the body, but you will just let them go, and you are just letting everything go. In a sense, it's you put in the John Kabat-Zinn explains it nicely, saying, you know, it's not like doing. We are used to associate our I with the doing. I think, I this, I that. So it's stop associating your I with the doing and associated it with the being. And the being is just observing what is happening. And what is happening is, you know, everything that arises in your consciousness. The I and consciousness are intimately related, because the I, you would not be an I without consciousness of being an I, in other words. So I and consciousness are, you cannot separate them. So the I and being becomes an act of consciousness for that respect. And you use the object of the mantra, as we are going to learn to use the object of the flame of a candle. We have already used the object of our breathing, of our body. So, you know, there are many different objects, and each of the objects that you use have a different effect on the mind or the brain and the workings of the brain. For example, the technique that we are going to learn today uses a candle, and you put a candle this, we brought it from Spain, because you have to put a candle at the level of your eyes and to a distance that you can light it. So you can always put it in a desk with books or do something like this, which is very simple. This is one of these holders for brushes, and you know, and these are just little pieces of woods, and this is a candle. so it's easy to do it. If you are going to do Tratak, that will help you a lot in your life. It's important that you find a way that it's easy for you doing Tratak. Because if it is not easy, your mind will have hundreds of excuses not to do it. So you need to put your life easy. Unfortunately, we don't sell them, so I cannot offer them to you.
Amazon?
Eh?
In Amazon?
Amazon.
I don't know. No, we do them. We do them.
Oh.
In Spain, in the ashram. You know, Benito does them, and another man in Tarragona does them by hand, and then we sell them in the shop in the ashram, but obviously, you know, I didn't bring anything to sell.
Actually, not me, but they do sell a foldable one. People in Meryl's group found it. I don't know where online.
Ah, good.
I don't know the website.
So maybe you can find them too, you know, because what is important is that it's easy. That you put a candle in front of yourself, in front of wherever you are sitting, be it the floor, be it a chair, be it the sofa, be it wherever that you feel comfortable, and you put a candle to more or less this
That,
So you can't-
would that, I'm sorry, would that candle work? Or is that, can you not use that?
That's too big.
Yeah, I like.
Okay. It
That's
needs to
too
be,
big. Yeah, a normal standard light candle.
okay.
And what you are going to do is, we start this technique with pranayama practice. So we breathe in, filling in well the lungs, while we count up to 4. So we breathe in, and mentally we count up to 4, and then we retain breath while we count to 16, and we breathe out while we count to 8. So it is 4, 16, 8, right? Breathing at the count of 4, retain breath at the count of 16, and breathe out while you count to 8. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? The important part is breathing out. You can breathe in as you want, counting up to 4, but breathing out, you try to breathe uniformly. So you don't, I'm going to make noise, but not that you need to make noise, but just so that you realize, you breathe out something like this. Not something like this. Through your nose normally, yeah. Not something like this. Okay, so you simply breathe out in a uniform way. Just let go out. You can breathe in any way, but breathe out uniformly. That's the important part of the pranayama. So we will do 6 breaths like this. And then we will use the flame of a candle as our object. In the same way we did with the mantra. But now we use an object of the eyes, which is the flame of a candle. Did anybody have problems, because I didn't ask to all of you, with the mantra meditation? Any one of you had problems with it?
No, but I have a quick question about that.
Yeah.
All last session, when we meditated sitting down. And you told us about being comfortable. And yet, when you sent us home to do it, you told us to lay down.
Lie down.
Why? You didn't explain why you told us.
Because at the beginning, it's easier to meditate lying down with mantra meditation. After you've been meditating lying down with that technique for, say, 6 to 8 weeks, you can start doing it sitting down. But I will give you all this information throughout these classes.
I also had a question. With the mantra, I found that the first word, Guru Raj, which is, I inhaled slowly, and then exhaled with Ananda.
That's okay.
And that helped me
That's
relax
okay.
and...
That's okay. If naturally the mantra associates with breathing, you let it go. If it doesn't, you don't force it. You just play with it. It's like this Thomas Keating explained in the video, it's a playful attitude. You know,
it helped me. I mean, it helped me with my
exactly.
breathing
It's
and
something
relaxing.
that helps you to maintain your attention, that makes that object that you are observing enjoyable. So it's not like you concentrate like forcing yourself to repeat a mantra, no? No, it's that you find, like if you were a little child, the way that you are concentrating how your voice sounds, and if let me associate it with the breathing, or now with the heart, or let me listen it in the abdomen, and you play around with it. And once you start playing with it, it becomes, the object becomes interesting enough, and you keep your attention in the object, and the rest of objects that appear, you start letting them go easily, which is what you are learning to do.
I fell asleep.
No problem. If you fell asleep, you will experience a very restoring deep sleep. It's normal at the beginning to fall asleep. It might continue happening to you for the next 21 days, more or less. It will disappear after 21 days. You can also experience sleepiness throughout the day for the first 3 weeks, more or less. This is because of the changes that in the hormones and in the melatonin secretion are produced in the body. It's studied already, and it happens. It's natural, and it disappears once everything is rebalanced again. So, nothing to worry about that.
Is this clearing the chakras too?
Well, the end result of all this meditation is clearing the mind, and the chakras are part of the mind. Because the mind, you know, we tend to think about the mind like this. But the mind, if you take a neuron, any neuron, and if you could pick it, you know, like this, one neuron, and pull of that neuron, as all of them are interconnected, you would get out a body, a complete body. You know, if you can feel your nails, there is a neuron. Completely with all the organs, everything. You would get a complete body, and that is the mind. The mind is the body. And the mind is not only here, it's in the heart, it's in the abdomen, it's in all the central nervous system. It's a body in itself. The ancient people called it the subtle body, but it's a body. So, of course, clearing the mind means clearing all the mind, including all the chakras. Part of them are in this part of the central nervous system, but many of them are all around the place.
Thank you.
More questions? No. So, in the same way we did with the mantra, now we are using an object of vision, which is a flame of a candle. The flame of a candle is a universal symbol, in the same way that we make the mantra the symbol of being in the presence and letting that energy act upon us. The candle is a universal symbol of the same thing. You know, in every temple of every tradition there will be candles. There might be statues of one god or another, or no statues at all. But candles, for sure, wherever you go. In a birthday, to celebrate that you were born, you put candles. In a romantic dinner, you put candles. In Christmas, you put candles. Hanukkah, 9 of them. So, the candle, it's a symbol. It's like the fireplace symbolized in the flame of a candle. It's a beautiful object, so you can appreciate its beauty. So what you will do is you will do these 6 pranayamas with your eyes closed, and then you open your eyes and you look at the candle, and you just let your attention, be placed in the candle, in the flame of that candle. You can look the inner side of the candle and the outer side and the different colors. You might perceive, you know, like an aura, different optic, visual things can happen while you look at the candle. So you just enjoy looking at the candle, and you allow yourself that now, at this very moment, while I am watching this candle, the only thing is important is that I, the observer, am watching an object which is the candle, which is the only important object to me. It's a little bit like if you were, you know, like these people that do with the ark, or with, you know, that they have to, no, but that they have to get to the target.
Right.
So when they are there, you know, their mind, only the target exists for you. So you and the target become kind of one, no? It's a natural thing. So it's the same thing. So you and the candle, it's your target. And you just become one with the candle, observing the candle, letting all the changes happen, blinking normally, gently, like if you would be observing a fireplace in the chimney. No, you just watch the candle, allowing all the changes. Only one change you don't allow to happen. If you see two candles, which could happen, you refocus your, because if you see two candles means that the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere lost coordination. So you want to see only one candle. But you know, you could see it could go out of focus and then return to focus, and you see it very clearly, or you can see like a light around the candle, different optical effects that may happen while you observe the candle. You simply let yourself flow in all those changes, just watching the candle. 3-4 minutes. So you do the pranayamas, 4, 16, 8, you open your eyes, you watch the candle, 3-4 minutes, approximately. You don't need to look at the watch. Maybe the first day you want to look at the watch because maybe you've been only 1 minute and you think it has been 4 minutes. So maybe the first day you can look at the watch, but you will soon learn what means 3-4 minutes by just doing it a few days, watching the candle. Once you've been 3-4 minutes watching the candle, you close your eyes. And you do the act like if you would want to continue looking at the candle. Or if like you would want to continue, like if you would like to see your forehead, no? You put the attention in your forehead, and as you would be trying to see your forehead, and you will see the post-Rutinian image of the candle, which will be a point of light of some description. It could even be like a picture of the candle, but it can be a white little dot, or a red little dot, or a black dot within a clearer, how do you say, fondo? ¿Cómo se dice fondo, Arnaldo?
Back.
Yeah,
The back.
over a clearer back, you know, a black dot, you know, something that you can distinctively, you know, interpret as the as a point of light, right? Like when you look at the light and you close your eyes, you know, you can still see that light. No, if you look at that light for a while and you close your eyes, as soon as you close them, you have the impression in your retina. So you keep looking at this impression that you have in your retina, and what you want to do is to keep it in the center. You have the same attitude as when you are looking at the flame. The only thing important for you is the flame. Now the only thing important for you is that point of light. It's like the flame, but more subtle. This point of light will tend to move like upwards or downwards or to one side or to another. What you have to do is you don't try to follow it when it moves. You just keep looking at the center. Because if you keep looking at the center, even though if it moves, like like a balloon, it will return back to the center. And you just keep your attention in maintaining that little point of light in the center. Eventually, the point of light disappears, because the effect disappears. When it disappears, you continue looking like if you were trying to look at your forehead, and the point will eventually reappear. It can reappear of a different size, of a different color, but it will very, very normally reappear. So when it reappears, you continue looking at that point of light and keeping it in the center. Because that point of light changes in size and in color and in many other things during the practice, your mind might project in that point of light images. In the same way that you are looking at the clouds, in the sky, and you see the face of a cloud, which is your mind projecting an image over the cloud. So if your mind projects images, it's normal that suddenly people see faces and things like that. Doesn't mean you are looking at someone. It means that your mind is projecting things. You just keep the light in the center and you keep it there until the light disappears completely, which means that you've been looking, like trying to see your forehead for say about a minute, which is like a long enough time, and no point of light has returned or reappeared for the last minute. In that case, you open your eyes again and you watch the flame of the candle for another 3-4 minutes, and then you close your eyes again and you put your attention on the dot, on that dot of light, which is the post-retinian image that is left in the retina. Understood? Yes? Good. So, what we are going to do now is, we are going to sit around we are going to practice the technique, and after the technique I will check that it has gone well and that you have no doubts, and then I will explain you how you're going to do this technique tomorrow, so that on Thursday we will start seeing if you've done the technique well and how has it gone, and we will learn new things. So this is step by step. Good. So you need to sit in circle because we need to put this in the middle somehow here. And everybody looking to the candle more or less to the same distance that I showed. So simply put the chair, as I cannot move the candle, you put it, for example, you put yourself here, put yourself here, better, that's too far away from the candle. So put yourself like the chair here. You are looking at the candle also, yes. You put your chair, for example, here, there, and your chair there, right. more or less. Good, yeah, perfect. Make yourself sure that you are all comfortable.
Nobody's birthday, we could sing too. What? Nobody's birthday, right? We could sing too.
So they have us at,
Some people order in the
So what we will do is that I will guide you at the beginning, which means I will tell you. You start with pranayamas, and then remember pranayamas is breathing counting at 4, retain counting to 16, breathe out counting to 8, 6, finish the 6th pranayama, and I will say, you don't need to count this time. I will say, do your last pranayama. When you are at home and you have to count, you will normally lose count after you've done 4 pranayamas. So when you've lost count, you have two more.
I go like this.
Once I say do your last pranayama, I will say open your eyes, and then we all watch the flame in the candle, and in the way that I explained. And then after 3-4 minutes approximately, I will say close your eyes, and from there on, everybody follows their own rhythm, because some of you will have that point for more time, and some of you for less, so when the point disappears completely, so after 1 minute that you are looking, trying to look to your forehead, but you have nothing to look at, then you open your eyes and you stay observing the flame of the candle for another 3-4 minutes approximately. And then you close your eyes again, and then from there on you will continue, each one to its own rhythm, okay? So I will not be saying anything, just start pranayamas, do your final pranayama, open your eyes, watch the candle, close your eyes, watch the point, and there I will stop until I say Om Shanti. When I say Om Shanti means that whatever you are doing, watching the candle or watching the point, you just close your eyes and we will do pranayamas again. So we start with pranayamas and we end with pranayamas. Right? Okay, so we start. So we close our eyes. And we start doing pranayamas, breathing in at the count of 4, retaining breath at the count of 16, and breathing out at the count of 8. we finish our last pranayama. And when we finish, we just let our breathing settle down in a natural way. And we open our eyes slowly and just let our attention is put on the flame of the candle. And we allow the flame of this candle to be the only thing that exists for you in this moment, letting the rest of things go. Close our eyes and making the act of looking like if we would try to see our forehead, we just put our attention in the post-retinian image of the candle. And we keep that post-retinian image in the center. Very gently. point of light disappears, you just continue looking like if you were trying to see your forehead until it reappears. And if after a while, like a minute or so, it doesn't reappear, you just open your eyes again and put your attention in the flame of the candle. Hacemos el último pranayama. Y al terminar muy poco a poco vamos saliendo de la meditación. Good?
Yeah.
No problem?
I was on and off, on and off. Sometimes I was losing the focus, so I need to open my eye. A lot of
You
thoughts
mean
were
the
coming at-
point?
Right.
Right.
A lot of thoughts were coming at the same time. I was trying to remember the life.
Remember, in meditation, don't try. Just let yourself flow very gently. So it's like you are allowing yourself to be 20 minutes doing nothing, literally. So you are just there looking at the candle and letting everything go, and things that we learn in meditation. And you cannot let it go. You are still here. So good, you? You just flow. Remember. So you keep your attention. Don't fight again and go for that reason. Eyes and
I saw it, the only problem.
do any harm. For example, always use a candle, not a LED or a flashlight of some description. It will definitely put you a biggest impression, but could be dangerous for your retina. So one candle, which is the light of a candle, is perfect for this technique. Any other doubts? So you have it clear how you do this technique? Okay, so now I'm going to explain you how you are going to introduce this technique in your day, and you are going to practice it tomorrow, and then on Thursday I review it, right? So come on. Back to business. Now this technique, which is called Tratak, it's a very important technique, and it has a lot of, say, collateral effects which are very practical for day-to-day living. This technique will develop the ability of the mind to focus without making an effort. One of the most difficult things to do with the mind is to focus the mind. That's why, for example, studying, I think one of you is a teacher, no? Right? You are a
Especially.
So studying, it's a big effort because it is difficult for the mind to focus on a certain thing, because one thought pulls in this direction, another thought pulls in that direction, another thought pulls in this direction. I have a saying which probably is not very politically correct, but it's very descriptive, which is a concentrated fool gets a college degree, a very smart guy without unconcentrated smart guy doesn't get a college degree. So really concentration is the key of success, because wherever you can concentrate your mind in, be it a degree, be it a profession, be it a business, be it whatever. If you concentrate your mind in whatever, you get it done. You might not know nothing about washing machines, but if your washing machine breaks and you concentrate your mind in looking here, looking there, looking everywhere, you will end finding out. Particularly if you allow the mind to flow and keep the attention in the object of concentration. Tratak, for that respect, will develop that ability of the mind to focus effortlessly. You will realize that it works because after you practice Tratak for, say, 8 to 10 weeks, so it's not such long time, but if you practice it regularly, after 8 to 10 weeks, you will notice by comparison that say you are a teacher and you correct exams. Before you did put yourself with the exam, you start correcting, you left it, you came back, you corrected a little bit more, you left it. And suddenly you realize that now you start correcting, and without even realizing you finished correcting, and you didn't have to make an effort to focus. So you will realize that works in your life by comparison once, because you don't see it happen from day to day, but you will see it happen when you compare after a while. What are the differences by comparing with how did I behave before in this situation and how it happens now, no? So Tratak is a very important. Another thing that develops Tratak is the ability of the mind to visualize.
How do you spell that?
Tratak is the name of the technique, yeah, Tratak. So Tratak is the name of the technique. It's an ancient technique, and it's the one we do with the candle.
Okay.
You can also call it the candle practice. But the original name is Tratak. Another thing that Tratak develops is the ability of mind to visualize. This is a very, when you do Tratak, you will start visualizing things. Visualizing and imagining are two different things. When you imagine, you conjure images in your mind. When you visualize, you see things. Okay, so it's different. Visual thought is the most powerful thought that there is. So if you develop the ability of visualization, you develop a very powerful thought. In fact, when you understand something, it's a saying in mostly all languages to say, ah, I see that, I see it, which really means that you see it, which is that you visualize how it works, and then you say, I see it, because your mind visualizes somehow the understanding. So it develops the visual understanding, visual thought, which is also a very powerful tool, and is a perfect technique to start your day, because you will start your day with your mind one-pointed, with your mind centered. And it also brings a lot of quietude, as you may have perceived. So, this is how you are going to do it tomorrow, because tomorrow we are going to do it as, you know, it will be a practice, we are learning, and we are going to do a practice which you will little by little implement in your day-to-day living. So basically, tomorrow, and in fact on Thursday in the morning, so 2 days, you have 2 days to practice till you come in the afternoon. You will wake up in the morning and you will have a day to live. And this is a practice that you will start the very moment you become conscious of yourself waking up. So when you either the alarm bell starts or you wake up naturally. Who wakes up naturally here? You? Sometimes. The best thing is to wake up naturally. If you wake up with an alarm, try to make not a stressing alarm, something soft. You don't want to wake up in alarm mode. You want to wake up with a little bit of sweetness or softness somehow. The best thing is to wake up naturally. When you wake up naturally, you know, we all have a biology clock. You know, if I say tomorrow I need to wake up 6, you know, I open my eyes at 6, but nothing has disturbed me too much. So when you wake up and you are still at bed, immediately, really, as you are becoming conscious of your identity, because while you are sleeping you are kind of not in charge, so you might be dreaming or not, or you might be in a deep sleep, but you are not kind of worried in keeping your identity together. But the very moment you wake up, you will start, that mechanism starts. And at the end of the day, what you are doing is projecting a past, because all these are memories, you know, and you have memories of the people which are part of your circumstances in that given moment, in other moments where other people, and we make this projection into the future automatically, because, you know, we always consider that there are things to be changed. So life is, I will be okay sometime in the future when I change these things. Well, the very moment that this mechanism starts, you have to consciously and make the conscious effort to say, remember me your name.
Oh, Barbara.
Barbara. To say, for example, Barbara, it's just one day you have to live. Forget about whatever has to come tomorrow. Because we really don't know what is going to come tomorrow. We have never known. if you go back to the past, when you did these very same projections in the past, you will see that the future is not exactly what you projected in any given moment. So you don't need to project too much about the future, but the only place where you can build that future, if it exists, is today. The only place you can do something for your life, to better yourself as a person, for the people you love, is today. What you did, it is done. What you may have to do tomorrow, tomorrow it will be tomorrow. So it's just today. So from the moment you wake up, you have to get into what I call the good morning day mode. So it's the good morning day mode, which means it's a combination of things. This is the same thing I explained to you last day, but more in detail. It combines that you consciously look for beauty. You know, you may wake up and your memories projecting in the screen of your mind will start telling you about this problem or that problem or this other thing or that other thing. But instead of letting yourself be carried away by that, look around yourself and look for the beauty around yourself. There is always beauty around all of us. In fact, everything is beautiful. We don't see beauty to things we don't love, but it's not that they are not beautiful. In fact, everything is beautiful, but you know, the light coming through the windows, or the warmth in the house, or you name it. You consciously put your attention to all the beautiful things that are around you. You consciously feel grateful for everything you can feel grateful. We can always feel grateful for something. You know, we have a house, for example, or we have hot water, or we have something to eat today. Or, I mean, there are always things that we can be grateful for. So be grateful, I mean, try to find the things that you are grateful for and put more attention into those things than into this mess, okay? And then when you brush your teeth or shower or dress, do it, I mean, the only way I have to explain this properly is do it like if you were doing it in the presence of God. Like if you were doing it as an offering to God. Which is, you know, you are brushing your teeth, but not to have your teeth brushed, but to enjoy the act of brushing your teeth. You are showering, but not to be showered, but to enjoy and get clean in the act of being showered. And so on and so forth. And when your mind chatter begins, which means very, very, very soon, you know, you will start trying to be in this mode, and in the shower, the minute you lose attention to the beautiful things around you, you will start speaking with someone in your mind. And you will start speaking with your mother mentally, you know, or with your brother, or with your boss, addressing yourself, you know, in a projection to these people, that person, the other person. And you will start speaking with them. Well, until you, from the minute you wake up, to the moment you do your first meditation that tomorrow and on Thursday is going to be Tratak, the one that we have learned today. To do them, you just need a candle. And if you don't have at home, it's easy to buy one. And then you put them with some books.
So you want us to do that first thing in the morning with a candle? Or later in the day?
No, you are going to do it. Today, tomorrow, and on Thursday morning, you are going to do this technique to begin the day. I'm explaining it. 2 days only, don't you? Just so that you learn it. Okay? So, you wake up. You wake up in the good morning day mood. You consciously, assure yourself that it's not this which is real. The only thing real you have is you have a day to live. Your actuality. You consciously, instead of being carried away by all the mind chatter, you just consciously look at the things, the beauty around you, the things that you are grateful for. We all have something, I suppose so. Do you have something to be grateful for? Another? Everybody has something to be grateful for. So we put that, and in our actions we perform them. So when we go to the bathroom and we start to brush our teeth, we are not brushing our teeth wanting to have our teeth brushed. We are just brushing our teeth as if we were doing it because we had a meeting that morning, you name it, with a king or your lover or you. Which the best way to say it is as if you were doing it in front of God, or as if you were doing it as an offering to God. So, not to have your teeth clean, but to clean your teeth. And the same to shower, to dress, to this, to that. In the meantime, the mind chatter will start, and you will realize immediately that your mind starts chattering with this and that and the other. And then you have to take the following thing into consideration. Those people, I think I explained you the other day, but just in case, to remind you, I repeat it. Those people with whom you speak in your mind are not the real person, are your projection of that person. And I always put as an example, imagine your father or your mother speaking in his mind and telling things to you, and compare it, what has that you in the mind of your mother or your father has to do with the real you that you are. And you will see soon that not much. And that is your father and your mother. So imagine any other. So, as you are speaking with invented entities that you are just projecting in your mind, speak to God. You don't even need to believe in one. You can just invent one God. You are inventing a mother, a father, a brother, a boss, so why not invent a God? So how do you invent a God? How do you speak with God? You invent a God speaking to someone through his description. Imagine you speak with a mind which is an omniscient mind, i.e., a mind which is conscious of the totality of everything and knows, like in the example I gave you of Pascal, the laws that govern absolutely every movement. That consciousness, omniscient consciousness, which is omnipresent, which means that if that consciousness is omnipresent, it can speak you through the water that is falling in the shower, through the position of the towel, through the sound of the bird through the window, you name it, it's omnipresent. So you are speaking to something which is everywhere and which is omnipotent, which means that is the power that moves everything. So just imagine that whatever worries you in your mind, because when you speak it's because there is something going on there, some conflict of some description, instead of telling it to different people, tell it to God. It will help you to look yourself at the mirror squarely. Because it's easy, you know, when we speak with people in our minds, we either lie, simple, we simply lie, or manipulate. We want something from someone, so in the shower we practice how to get it. Or we project ourselves as what we are not. For example, I always put this example because every man and every woman immediately understands. For example, if any man is chattering in his mind with this woman he has met and that he likes, James Bond is nothing to his side. And the same thing goes the other way around. So we project ourselves as Superman or Superwoman. Or fourthly, we judge or complain people or situations or about situations. That's all the chattering mind does. It's not a wise kind of voice. It's kind of a reality show. Every reality show is composed of lies, manipulations, projections of what they are not, and judgments and complaints of all sorts. and that's why people like them so much, because they identify with their own system, with their own life. But this is the contrary to wisdom. And this is the source of all suffering in reality. So, instead of doing these stupidities, speaking with different invented people in your minds, whatever worries you deeply, whatever troubles you deeply, whatever yearning you have, whatever confusion you have, try to tell it to God. Invent that God. You don't need to believe in God. Invent that mind. Speak with that mind figuratively, like a technique, because it is a technique. It is an exercise in reality. Is it understood what I try to say? Yes? So you do that. And you know, while you are showering, this, that, the other, if you find yourself telling something to your boss, and say, oh no, I'm speaking with my boss. Tell the same thing you were telling your boss, try to tell it to God. And you will find out. Most of the times, you have nothing to tell to God. Because it was either a lie, or a manipulation, or a complaint, you know, and at the end you say, well, nothing. Not important. So, simply direct your thoughts. It's only those minutes that it takes you to, from the moment you wake up in bed to the moment that you are going to do your first meditation. So you do all this, you shower, this, that, the other, between the moment you wake up to the moment that you are dressed and showered. Normally, we're speaking of what, 40 minutes maximum?
Mm-hmm.
40 minutes maximum. So you try to keep those 40 minutes in this practice, which is an open presence practice. Basically, you are maintaining yourself present and honestly present in front of a proper mirror, and keeping your mind from galloping in all those conversations, which is the source of the suffering of the mind, of the suffering of psychology. And then you sit down to meditate. The first thing, after you've showered. And then you can start with a prayer. Not a prayer from a book of prayers. But if there is something that is worrying you, that you are anxious about, that you are confused, if there is something there in your mind that is coming up all the time because you have a problem of some description, say you are having a difficult relationship and you are wondering, should I divorce or not, or whatever the case could be, no? If there is something of that nature which is there all the time and it's keeping going out, do this prayer, which means tomorrow you will do it even if there is nothing, and if there is nothing and you just feel grateful, do a prayer of gratitude. But if there is something there, you do this prayer where in 3 or 4 sentences, so you have to be concrete, 3 or 4 sentences, that you will say mentally. You have to put your problem in 3 or 4 sentences. And you have to say these sentences mentally, listening to the sound of your voice inside your head when it speaks, whatever it speaks, and feeling what you feel when you listen your inner voice speaking what is speaking. So say, for example, that, and following your own idiosyncrasy or style. You know, for example, if it was my style, I would say something like, in the example of I want to divorce, no? My Lord, I don't know what to do with my wife. For example, that could be the first sentence. And then you say this very slowly, listening to your voice, and feeling what you feel when you listen your voice saying that, you will have a feeling. And feeling what you feel when you say what you say mentally. You have to say it in 3, 4, 5 sentences, i.e. not more than 2-3 minutes. You cannot just stay there and start speaking with God and this and that and the other, amongst other things, because he has a lot of people to listen and he cannot spend too much time. So, in 2-3 minutes, you try to, it's a way to make you aware of what really worries you. Because it's not the same to tell your worries to your mother than to tell them to God, because you will tell them differently. It's a way to look yourself at the mirror squarely. Look your life at the mirror squarely. It will help you not to lie yourself also. So in 3-4 sentences, you explain your problem and you add 2 things. The first thing you add is your acceptance of responsibility. You know, in the example of the husband and the wife, you know, everybody thinks that things go bad, but I am not responsible. It's my wife. Or the other way around, no? I'm going through a bad time. Why? My boss is whatever. So you never accept that your peace or your wellness has to do with you. It has always got to do with others. So accepting responsibility means that you accept that to the day you have to live today, this day, you have arrived yourself, giving every necessary step and making every necessary decision to arrive to that day and not to any other day. So you are responsible. It's you that walked that path. It is simple to understand. And not only you are responsible of those circumstances to which you are confronted that day because you walked that path, but you are able to respond to those circumstances. So responsibility has two aspects. The aspect that I am responsible of these circumstances, and the aspect that I am able to respond to these circumstances. The two typical things that we do is we don't accept responsibility, human beings I mean. We don't accept responsibility. I am bad, but I cannot be good because with this wife it is impossible to be good. So I am bad. I am not okay, but there is no problem with me. It's the wife. That's wrong. Whatever you consider that the problem is, your circumstances don't need to change for you to be in peace with yourself. And if you are in peace with yourself, you are in peace with yourself, so you are okay. And circumstances don't need to change for you to be in peace or for you to lose peace. It doesn't depend on the circumstances. Second thing that we do, we say, this is too much for me. I cannot afford this. Get me out of here. Which is escapism. Which is thinking that you don't have the ability to respond to your circumstances. It's fooling yourself. You have the ability, you yourself created those circumstances, and I'm going to make you understand how we create these circumstances throughout this course when I explain a little bit the mind and evolution, but you created your circumstances for yourself. So it's your own creation, and you have the ability, natural ability, to deal with your own creation. Always. Always. So, you add the responsibility tag. You tell your problem, add the responsibility tag, and then you do your petition. When people pray, they ask for things. Many people might think, well, but how can I make a petition if I don't believe in God, or I don't believe in this, or I don't believe in that? But think about something. When people buy a lottery ticket, for example, and they do like this, who are they asking to be fortunate? Well, to the same person or thing or entity or whatever that they ask, that anyone asks for a lottery ticket to be fortunate, you can ask to that very same whatever it is. I tell you one thing, if you do it right, the answers come. It says in the Bible, if you knock at the door is open. If you this, you that, call and you will be heard. Yeah? Well, consciousness doesn't finish where your skin finishes. All this universe is consciousness. And as a conscious universe, you can relate to it. And it speaks in many, many different ways. You just need to be aware of it. You just need to become friendly with your life, friendly with your circumstances, open to your circumstances, and have the awareness where everything is going on, which is the day you have to live. The only place you can do something for your life or for the life of your loved one. So you add the petition. You might need strength, you might need discrimination to make a decision, you might need peace, you might need a red Ferrari, but I think that they are short of them these days. That was just a joke. So, so I mean, whatever you think that you need, you can ask. You can ask and you know, and experiment with what happens. Because, you know, answers can come in the very same day during a meditation. If it is something during that meditation, they can come because you are, you know, having a coffee and say you ask, should I divorce? No? You have doubts. Give me some guidance. What's better, divorcing or not? No? So maybe you are in a Starbucks and someone, I'm calling about an instance that happened. And you are having a coffee and you know 2 people are speaking in the other table and saying, no, you don't need to divorce, forget about it. You will make a big mistake, you know. And many times those answers are not exactly what you would like to listen, but they come loud and clear. Then it's your decision if you do them or not. But they come enough loud and clear. And life is full of signs, like the motorways. It's just a matter of following the signs. But life, naturally, is full of signs. You just need to start speaking with life, to become acquainted with life. You know, like the Bushmen in the Amazonas, no, for example, are acquainted with the jungle and they understand the jungle and they relate with the jungle, with the consciousness of the jungle. Is the same concept, but the same consciousness is in this jungle. Manhattan is a jungle of the same description as any other Amazon jungle. So it's alive also, it means. It has consciousness and you can relate with it. And it's an expression of the divine at the end of the day. So you do this, and then once you finish your prayer, with the responsibility tag and the petition, whatever the petition might be, you do your pranayamas. For 16-8, and you know, cycles of watch candle, watch flame, watch point. I will call it point, I mean what you watch with your eyes closed. And normally 2 cycles of watching the flame and watching the point, plus pranayamas to end with it. 2 cycles will be a 15 to 20 minutes meditation, more or less. 3 cycles can be a 20 to 25 minutes meditation. Ideally, you want to meditate between 15 to 25 minutes at least, or even up to 30 minutes. More than 30 minutes is too much. So up to 30 minutes, and you do your meditation. So this between 15 to 25 minutes, and the part of the prayer maximum 5 minutes with all the things. So it will be between 20 and 30 minutes meditation. And you do this on Wednesday and on Thursday, and do it, and when you come on Thursday, we'll review it, we'll see how it has gone, and we will learn a new thing. And like this, we will keep learning new things, and the last day, I will explain you how to implement those things in your daily life. When, how, when, at what time. For the moment we are learning, practicing, reviewing. Learning, practicing, reviewing. Okay? Questions?
Yeah, I'll just say, you call it like the good morning day routine. I once read, like, how people say, good God, it's morning, like in a bad way, or you could say, good God, it's morning, like just change it.
Yeah, well, look, it's like, remember when you were a little child and you woke up in the morning and you had this sensation, I have a whole day to live.
Right.
It's just recovering something which is in your memory. It's the sensation of what a day is, which is where life is happening. Which is what naturally a child experiences, because he is not too fucked up yet. They have not gone to school yet, right? They have not screwed him.
It's gonna be a challenge, doing this with my dog looking at me and wanting to go out.
Well, dogs love when their owners meditate. I have always had dogs. In fact, I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. But I've always had dogs and cats in my home. And and the dogs, when I meditate, they meditate with me perfectly well. And they love it. And they love it. And the cats also, Yeah, my cats, if I call them, they come. Animals, one of the things that you will, if you meditate and you start relating with the consciousness all around, you will learn to speak with animals, which is very simple. I speak with animals. They understand you perfectly. And you can speak with any animal, because we all speak the same language in reality. It's not English or Latin. It's the language of, I don't know, maybe the language of the heart. But you can speak with any living being, including animals, and they understand you perfectly. And I understand them also with what they tell me. They don't tell me things with language, but they tell it to me with their eyes. Or anybody that has animals knows that you have some experience of that. Your dog will tell you things, so you understand, but you can keep even complex conversations with animals. Much more than what people realize, because there is this idea that animals don't have consciousness. They are pure consciousness as you, just in another grade, but they have, like you have a human universe that you perceive, they perceive a dog universe. But they have a universe that they perceive, and they relate to that universe, to you, and if you can catch the universe from which he's perceiving, you immediately know how to communicate.
Do you miss your dogs?
They keep sending me pictures of them.
And do they send pictures of you to them? More importantly.
No, because there is this nice video. If I have time, I'll tell you this woman, she's from some university of some description, speaking about mindfulness. So she's speaking about, we would all like to be, even if it has been a hard day, to be happy, and she puts a lot of examples of this kind, if this person has been unkind to you, you are still happy with that person and accept them as they are, and he puts a lot, so she says all these things, so if we would be like that, we would be a dog.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you?
I have to tell you something. It's just so weird that you brought that up. Like the dogs are pretty excited. Like a long time I've been wanting to be like a teacher. He's always sent dogs and he leads meditation twice a week. And it's very true. But I know it's in my life. And it's very true.
I'm not like a little crazy flaky person.